It's a home game on Sunday for yourself against Celtic. Does that make a big difference this week compared to travelling away through to Glasgow?
I don't think so. I think it's funny because, again, you talk about crowds and pressure. Ultimately, crowds build pressure rather than sort of players and managers. So, it's difficult when you play against Rangers Celtic because sometimes you can build that pressure and then try and get results off that. So we need to try and build pressure in sort of different ways, frustrating them as players and as a group. So home and away is probably irrelevant. I think look at far form guide, it's probably pretty even spread. Some away good, some good performances away from home, and we have some good home ones as well. So it's pretty evenly split this season.
Do you feel that being very familiar with every blade of grass that's on that pitch at McDermott, like any team that's playing at home, it does give a kind of boost to your kind of thought process that you know where you're going, you know how wide the park is. The goals are in the same place, obviously, but does that make any difference at all?
Probably this year, probably less than ever, really, without supporters. I think supporters make everything to the games. They create. I heard somebody say, I can't remember. I heard a quote saying, if supporters are there, it's a bad game, but the supporters are into the game, it's a great game. And I think that's sort of very true. Or you can see a great game of football, but if the supporters are not into it, then it's an average game. So I think they're massively important to your home and away form this season. I think it's probably proven the fact with a lot of teams. So I wouldn't say it's an advantage at this present moment in time.
And for St Johnstone's point of view, is this a good point to be playing Celtic where they're perhaps not at their best?
I'd probably rather play them about 4 weeks ago when you had 13 players missing, if I'm honest with you. I think they're on a bit of a revival. So I think the form I watched the last couple of games have been very, very good. I thought Motherwell, they were brilliant for majority of the game, obviously, I think, because he late on. And thought they're very good against Kilmarnock. So, both games I thought they're back to their best. So again, we've got to make sure we come up with a plan to try and stop them.
That's one for me. What's the team news like? It's probably too early for Sunday, but how's things?
Just Murray. Everybody's fit. Murray's just struggling. That's the one. So
I'm going to have a guess that you kind of spoke to Danny about St Johnstone before the move up here. Was there anything particular he said that sold St Johnstone to you as the place to be for James Brown?
Yeah, he's first thing that come out of his mouth is how how hard working, down to earth the squad is. There's no egos. Many football teams there's always egos, but he was genuinely right. There's no one that thinks they're better than anyone else. It's a tight knit group. The boys have been class with me since day one. Really welcoming bunch. There's no moaners. It's really high intensity. In training, it's just good pros training day in, day out. And I think that's the environment you want to go into, especially if you're moving, nearly all the way up the country. You want to go into an environment that is going to benefit you. That was the main thing. And obviously, he couldn't speak highly of the gaffer before when I spoke to him. So, it was a big part in me coming up. Obviously, I've come through youth teams with Danny, so my obviously always been close with him. So I believe whatever he says. So it was a big part of me coming up, and he sold it to me well.
And the level of football that you're coming into play in the Premier League in Scotland, you have a mixture. You have teams of very different abilities, from the teams at the top of the league to the teams at the at the bottom. Is that something that you find challenging, obviously, in a good way, obviously, for yourself to be able to create yourself in a different way?
Yeah, of course. There's different play styles, and for example, you're not gonna set up the way you're gonna set up against Rangers away than you will at, say, a lesser team at home. That's just part and parcel of football. You've got to adapt. Every game presents a different challenge. Some games as a club would be expected to win. Some games people are going to write us off from the start. But I think that all comes as part and parcel of football. Like you say, there probably is, from the top teams to the bottom teams, there is a big gap than most leagues. But I think that's some of the attraction, you know, of Scottish football. The fact that the lower teams can actually go to the bigger teams as such, especially seeing it this year with no fans and stuff like that, and really give them goes and you know, really put on a performance and beat them. So I find that personally, you know, a big attraction of this league.